How to recognize someone who said is in the clouds and getting back to the reality again? That's some fun, let me do it. In the Hippocratic world, we have now come to the sanguine portion. What other words can be used to describe it? Huh? In the Hippocratic world, we have now come to the sanguine portion. What other words can be used to describe him? Optimistic and cheerful, a person with a bright outlook on life. The Rhasas even says the epithet of men of possibilities. However, that it is in fact an excellent description of allo behavior. These are people who live, always finding opportunity for enjoyment. Life is a banquet, and always will see to it that they savor every bite. They are driven by the merriment and laughter. And why not? The sun is always shining somewhere. Do you know anyone who sees sunshine where others see dark clouds? Have you met anyone who can laugh even though he hasn't had any good news for a month? Then you met a yellow. Have you been at a party and wonder why everybody flocks around a particular person? Men and women will in the center of the circle. They say yellow, entertaining anyone who wants to laugh. Yellow makes sure that the atmosphere is at its zenith, so that every event becomes a marvelous party. When something is no longer fun, they move on to another place where the atmosphere is better. Recognizing ILO is easy. The one who is talking all the time is the one who gives answer rather than asking question. Often answering question that no one has even asked. He answers a question by telling a story that may or may not have anything to do with the issue. But it really doesn't matter, because he will put you in a cheerful mood beside his own safely positive attitude. Also make it impossible for you to feel upset for long. I would even go as far as to argue that yellow are most popular than other colors. How can I say that? Look for yourself, they entertain but people in a good mood, and fun things always happen around them. They know how to capture everyone's attention and how to keep it. They make us feel important. They are just nice to be around. They are also very typically touchy-feely people, like pets. Yellow and very willing to make a quick decision, but they can rarely explain why using rational reasoning. A more likely response will be it just felt right, and sure, gut feelings should not be underestimated. Studies have shown that gut feelings are right more often than we think, but that's not the kind of gut feeling we are talking about here. Allies often make decisions that are based on feelings simply because no thought was ever involved. I have a sister who is yellow. Marita is so easygoing in her manner that I have never heard anyone utter a single negative word about her. Never, I may be biased, but I have never met anyone who doesn't immediately like her. She has an entirely unique ability to connect with every person she meets. Marita always has something entertaining to say. However, some of these things are so peculiar that I sometimes have to ask her what she was thinking when she said them. With a burst of laughter, she usually replies, thinking I was, in many ways, celebrating when a visitor and her husband leave. Their almost incomprehensible ability to see bright spot in everything around them is so delightful that it frees my own easygoing disposition. I am never as happy and exhilarated as when I visit them. For years I wonder why this was, and have reached the conclusion that allo behavior is simply contagious. If I say to my sister, it looks like it's going to rain, she simply replies, I can imagine that, pointing to the window. I say to her, but look, it's actually raining. It is quite dark out there. We will have thunder before this is over. Sure, she says. But after that, the sun will come out. Just wait and see. Then she laugh again while the rain pours outside. She sits on the sofa unabashedly having fun, and I, along with everyone, is laugh alone because it's impossible to resist. The more the merrier. Your friends are my friends. People with lots of talent, they beware are focused on creating relationships. They are outgoing and can be extremely persuasive. They are enthusiastic, excited, and happy to talk about their feeling for others, and not frequently for complete strangers. Allo can talk to anyone. They are not at all shy, perceiving more people they meet as pleasant. They even see strangers in a positive light. They are just friends you haven't met yet. Then people notice that allos are always smiling and laughing. That's undoubtedly one of allo's strengths. Their optimism is invincible. Comments about how everything is going to hell are often made by remarks about what a beautiful view we have. Just like reds, allo have a lot of energy. They find most things interesting, and allo individuals are most curious about people you will ever meet. Everything new is enjoyable, and great deal of allo energy is spent finding new ways of doing things. काय झाला पिन sama मेरा पिन. Their albums, the more merrier, the your friends are my friends. People, the more the merrier, the more the merrier. Your friends are my friends. People with lot of alloy in the behavior are focused on creating relationships. They are outgoing and can be extremely persuasive. They are enthusiastic, excited, and happy to talk about the feeling for other and not feel equally for complete strangers. Alloy can talk to anyone. They are not always being most people they meet as pleasant. They even see stranger in a positive light. They are just friends you have admitted. Many people notice that Allo are always smiling and laughing. That's undoubtedly one of the Allo strengths. Their optimism is invincible. Comments about how everything is going to hell are often made by remarks or what will we have. Just like readers, Allo are have lots of energy. They find most things interesting, and Allo individuals are most curious about you ever met. Everything new is enjoyable, and great deal of of Allo energy is from finding news of doing things. Who get the most holiday cards? Do you think Allo most contacts in the cell phone? That's right, Allo is most friends in Facebook. You're getting the idea, Allos. They have friends absolutely everywhere and they are excellent at keeping in touch with everyone in order to keep up to date. Allos want to know what's going on, they want to be where it's all happening and they will make sure to be at every party. Isn't it amazing? I just love it to bits. If there's anything that characterizes Allo behavior, it's unlimited optimism and enthusiasm. Few things can keep their good mood away for long. The Aldo entire being is concentrated on one thing, finding opportunities and solution. In his day, Hippocrates called Aldo the Sanjung ones. This simply means optimistic. Nothing is really a problem. It will sort itself out. It's neither here nor there. The world just happens to be full of worries and artsy. With an incurably positive outlook on life, Aldo individuals give joy to the people around them with their cheerful acclamation and entertaining jokes. I don't know, Rallo gave the tremendous energy but focus on having fun and devoting themselves to social togetherness. Everyone must be involved and Allo will not allow anyone to be gloomy. Mickey, a good friend of mine, is Allo and his life has included more than his fair share of challenge. His wife left him, his children have bad problems at his school and on various occasions his employers have gone bankrupt as he has lost his job. I can't even count how many times he had a car accident, his home has been bored or he has been robbed of expensive items. Sometimes I hardly dare to answer the phone when I see that Mickey is calling. To tell the truth, Mickey is the most jinxed man I have ever met. But what's so curious about him is that none of this ever seems to bother him. Naturally, he is upset when an accident happens, but he can stay upset for a long period of time. Inside, he just wobbles along most of the time. I remember one occasion when we were both quite young. He had just bought an old Alfa Romeo. It was a two-seater with two doors, painfully rusty. It was nothing sort of miracle that it even held together. Mickey had a car for about a week when he hit a lamppost and could not get out on the driver's side. When I heard about the accident, I was worried and called to see if he was okay. He answered it was fine. I just got out the door. The optimistic consultant strikes again. Since Alva individuals are so positive and cheerful, they spread joy and warmth to those around them. With their uncontrollable optimism, they diminish opposition quite effectively. We can be upset when there's something pointing out the good things all the time. How could anyone fail to be inspired by a person who refuses to see half-empty glasses, who always sees the positive? One of my customers is the sales director for a pharmaceutical company. May I ran over her way up in the company by what we call the long route. Her manager and co-workers are argue that she has been so successful simply due to the one thing, her amazing ability to inspire those around her. On a number of occasions, I have watched her conduct sales meeting. I consider myself a decent motivator, but when Marion gets going, you just have to take your hat off to her. Within a couple of minutes, the room is so inspired. If she were to ask the seller to jump out the window, they will do it, even though they are on the fifth floor. She makes everything sound so simple. It's a great idea to jump out the window. We can do this. Let's jump. And the group jumps after her with her optimism and bright outlook on life. She is phenomenal at getting people to achieve great feats. Just by closing their eyes to anything negative with sheer inspiration, she can inflate people's confidence to incredible levels. I once saw her dealing with an irate customer who felt mistreated by her organization. Not a situation most people dream about. It turned out it wasn't a problem for Marion, but by the smiling steadfastly at the customer and refusing to listen to his negative comments, she moved him from an angry face to gentle expression and finally to boisterous laughter. How could that happen? I don't think that even should explain the underlying process simply natural to her. What happens if you turn everything upside down? You won't find anyone more resourceful than Aldo. If there is anything Aldo have aptitude for is seeing solution where others do not. Aldo have the unique ability to twist and turn things. To put it simply, they turn everything upside down and think outside the box. Call it what you want, but the thinking doesn't always follow any set patterns. They move quickly. The Aldo intellect is very fast, which means that it can be difficult to keep up. Sometimes they can even find it difficult to explain their wild ideas. A good friend of mine likes to work on his home. Everything relating to interior design and garden design fascinates him. I suspect that Robin would secretly rather work in design on a full-time basis instead of his actual job. I have seen this for myself, but I have also heard from his wife how he goes about things. He walks around the garden and she starts counting backwards from 10. On 7, Robin says, "Honey, I have an idea." There are a few reasons for Robin's creativity. It's easy for him to think in images. He can simply see things in front of him long before they even exist. And he has courage. He is not afraid to try new things or to talk about them. Usually his mouth works parallel to his mind as he discovers these ideas. I worked with an elder who could not even cross the street without coming up with a few really thought-provoking business ideas just by looking around. How does it work? I don't really know. For a long time we asked him to write down his proposal. You will learn more about how Allo would react to that kind of structure when we start talking about witness. Allos are also helped by the fact that they rarely have any limitation. Our allo days to go beyond the usual convention where it is in creative mode. Normally, of course, structure and hierarchy in a business are kind of limitation, but allos are really concerned about such things. In fact, they often don't seem to know what that such limitations are there. Need help with new suggestion or ideas? Sound out the most allo person you know. Are you stuck in the same way of thinking? Do you need a new perspective on an old problem? Speak to Allo. You might not be able to use whatever ideas they come up with. In fact, realism isn't a factor for Allo. But one thing can lead to another, and then all of a sudden you have something that works. Selling snow to a penguin with all their energy and optimism, Allos are very persuasive. It's easy for them to get carried away, see opportunities and solutions where others might only see a dead end. It's often said that there is a difference between convincing and persuading, and many Allo cross these boundaries. But what they say sounds so good with the help of language. They really are masters at winning over people to their side. Regarding language, as I described in the chapter on body language, most always have a rich and varied way of gesticulating so that they can convince you not just with their words but with their entire bodies. But it's not just energy and will. Always have a unique way of expressing themselves that sways the listener. They often use vivid and colorful imagery when they speak, which appeals to all five senses and creates an impression that is felt by the whole body. Without even knowing it, many allos are skilled rhetoricians. They know instinctively that the ethos, the bearer of the message, is just as important as the message itself. Therefore, they are mindful of getting through to you as an individual, usually by being friendly and shaking your hand, making small personal comment, making you feel important. Many politicians are phenomenal at this. Think of Bill Clinton for instance. He has the kind of charisma that is naturally present in many allos. A noticeable interest in another person, the ability to ask the right question so that other feels they are important. I know a lot of people, all of them, in fact, if allos aren't allowed to cultivate the relationship, they will slowly with her and die. Okay, this may be somewhat exaggerated, but the very definition of allo behavior goes around the ability to build relationship. The allo traits are inspirational. They inspire those around them, and the best way to achieve this is through building relationship. Allo knows that by far the most important factor in business, for example, is relationship. If your customer doesn't feel positively about you, it will be difficult to make any headway. Allos know everyone. They have more acquaintance than everyone else. They like everyone. Or Allo doesn't need to know a person very well before calling him his friend. Anyone who doesn't actively dislike them, they consider to be a pal. Remember that when Reds asks what is going to be done, Allo want to know immediately who will do it. The question is crucial for Allo. If the team or group does not function smoothly, or Allo will not feel well. He needs functioning relationship for him to come into his own. Conclusions on allo behavior. What do you think? Have you ever met a real allo? Famous people who exhibit clear allo traits include Oprah Winfrey, Robin Williams, Ellen DeGeneres, and to take some functional example, piping from the Lord of Rings, and Han Solo from Star Wars. So the good. Chapter 5 of this book is titled Allo Behavior, and this book is generally about how to recognize someone whose head is in the clouds and getting back to reality again. So this chapter generally describes the Allo behavior, and the author argues that the people with behavior trait as Allo are usually more friendly or more charismatic, and they are more creative. So, and they are just well going with everyone they meet, not with the stranger, but even a very distant friend, a very distant relative, and so on. Green behavior. Why change is so difficult and how to get around it? How are we going to do this? It's not urgent, right? The green person is the most common. You will meet him virtually everywhere. First, the easiest way to explain who he is. Well, I would like to describe him as being the average of all the other colors. Please don't interpret that as something negative. Keep in mind that this truly implies while reds are stress performance seekers, yellow are creative, born vibrant guys, and blues are perfectionist night of Excel spreadsheet. Greens are the most balanced. They counterbalance the other more extreme behavior traits in an elegant way. Hypocrites call them phlegmatic people. The Aztec call them earth people. Calm, leisurely, and easygoing are some words that could also describe them. It's just a matter of stating the facts. Not everyone can or should be extreme, otherwise we will never get anything done. If everyone were a driven leader, there will be no one left to be led. If everyone were enthusiastic entertainer, there will be no one to amuse. And if everyone were a detail-oriented perfectionist, there will not be anything to keep in order. This seems that greens don't stick out in the same way as others do, and they often lend serenity to a situation. Where reds and yellows start off in top gear, greens are significantly calmer, and where blues get caught up in details, greens try to feel their way to what is right. If you have a friend who is green, he will never forget your birthday. He won't because your success, and he won't try to take the spotlight off you by reeling off his own stories. He won't try to outdo you, and he will never pester you with new and drastic demands. Nor will he see you as competitor if you were placed in that situation. He won't take command unless he has been told to do so, and he won't. Just a minute, please. So you might be thinking there's just a lot of things he doesn't do. So what does he do? You can ignore the fact that greens are more passive than others. They are not as driven as red, not as resourceful as yellow, and not as orderly as blue. This describes most of the population. For this very reason, they are very easy to deal with. They let you be yourself. They don't demand much, and they never kick up a fuss unnecessarily. Children with green features are usually described as being leader and just they eat when they are supposed to, they sleep when they are supposed to, they do their homework when they are supposed to. But it's not just that. Greens will not offend people if they can avoid it. They rather not offend anyone at all, and they don't talk back if the boss makes a decision. Or more than later, they usually step to fit in, which makes them more balanced people. They are ideal for calming down confused yellows, for example, and they are excellent at warming up blues, who on occasion can indeed be a tad too cold. Now we often hang out with family where the husband is yellow and loves to horse around and take center stage. He comes up with the amusement games and is more than happy to answer any question himself. Everyone else is his audience, and he never steps out of the spotlight. His wife is green, calm, composed, and as laid back as can be. When he jumps around the frolics, she sits quietly on the sofa and smiles. She's just as entertained as everyone is by his antics. When I ask her if she ever tired of her comical husband, she sometimes replies quietly, but he's having so much fun. That is a typical green trait. They are very tolerant towards other people, more singular behavior. Is the picture becoming clearer? Greens are the people you might not think about, most of us, that is. Some simple basic green people are kindness personified. You can expect a helping hand whenever you need it. They are pronounced relational people who will do everything within the power to shape your relationship, and they will invest lifelong. They will keep track of when your birthday is, when your partner birthday is, when your children's birthday are, etc. It will not surprise me if they even know when your cat first saw the light of the day. It's often said that greens are the best listener, and this is true. Or greens will always be more interested in you than in himself, and if free chance he should be interested in himself, he would never dream of showing it. You often find greens in the public sector where they help others with no concern for personal gain. They are also pronounced team player. The team, the group, the family always comes from the individual, and I would even say that society's constitution of greens will always take care of the sick and the weak. They will not leave a friend in need. You can tell them at any time. They always offer a shoulder to cry on. Change isn't their greatest strength, even though change isn't completely foreign to them. If you can simply justify the change and give him enough time, even a green will be prepared to try new things. But a green will remind you that you always know what you have, but you never know what you might end up with. The grass is not automatically greener on the other side, so to speak. The best pal in the world. As I've already said, these are naturally friendly people. When they tell you that they sincerely care about how you are doing, you can trust that they lie awake sleepless for your sake. Just like aloe greens are relationship people, and their interest in others is genuine and authentic. If you ask a group of people if anyone is prepared to lend a hand and no one step up to help, a green will jump in down and shout, "Choose me!" Why? Because he didn't want you to leave you in the lords. He knows that if you don't get any help, you will feel bad, and even though he can be passive, he always prepared to help a friend. I still remember a young man I worked with at a consulting firm years ago. Adamantly, Maza was shortly blue as oil, but above all, she was green. Her problem was obvious. When someone asked for help, she always said yes every time. It was difficult to find her decks due to her workload, but she organized everything in the end. We could always rely on her assistance handling or the things the rest of us had simply forgotten about. She had a warm and friendly smile, so we asked her to work in reception and at the first contact with a new client. She never failed to serve coffee, fix the cushion, or keep the track of how long clients had been waiting. Maza never forgot anyone's birthday or anniversary or the wives or children for that matter. She frequently sent short emails to all of us straight out consultant reminding us that we have families who also need to be looked after. Sure, we will take care of our own lives, but in her kindness and thoughtfulness, Maza went out of her way to help. It was natural for her, and whenever we asked her to take it easy and take care of herself as a for a change, she almost felt offended. She wanted to take care of us, it simply made her feel good. Of course, there were limits, and Maza constantly ran the risk of someone taking advantage of her user. But when properly balanced, his selflessness is beautiful quality. Greens do this naturally. When having coffee, it's quite normal for you to ask the people with you if they would like a refill. When other scholar would likely take their empty cups to the coffee maker, Greens will simply face the coffee carafe and refills everyone's cup. A green wants to stay on good term with everyone, so he will even help people he doesn't really like that much. Otherwise, there might be some kind of hula balu. He thinks well of most people and is confident in other abilities. Sometimes he does this so intensely that it is badly, but normally that's the fault of the other person, not the green himself. He is so good at it, and now and then the others can take advantage of him. Lasse, a good friend of mine, is a truly genuine friend. It makes no difference how much he has to do if anyone needs a helping hand. Lasse is there, ready to support him. Sometimes in Lasse eagerness to help with other people work, he even forgets to do his on weekend. He drags his son and other children everywhere they want to go. He helps people move. He learns out his tool without even needing to ask. He listens if you call and complain about something. This all takes a huge amount of time, but he enjoys it. Once they said they do something, you can rest assured that it will be done. If a green says that he will do something, you can be confident that he will do it. If it is in power to deliver, he will. It won't be done in the shortest amount of time possible, but it will show you in their inbox roughly within the expected time frame. Greens don't want to be caught failing to deliver, as this might cause trouble for others. And because they are good team players, they don't want to do anything that can cause problem for the team. Team comes before self, the team being the company, crew, football team, or family. For the green, it's necessary to look after everyone else around them. The reason why everyone works so well with green is a topic of debate. In some situations, it's simply because they don't like conflict. Mostly, however, it's because they're controlled by the desire to make those around them happy and satisfied. If they can please you with a job well done, they will do it. The desire to please other boards on being a driving force for greens. It comes naturally and requires no effort. And this selflessness is accompanied by an exalted serenity that blows the stress level of both around them. We don't want any own business or practice to know what's going to happen every time. You can always count on green person in some organization. It's a requirement to have reliable employees. Creativity and ingenuity are not as top of the wish list. In short, you simply need people who understand the job and get it done without a lot of fuss or drama. When you hire greens, they constitute the stable core who will do the job well. They don't have problems taking orders as long as the orders are formulated in an appealing fashion. Greens enjoy stability and a certain predictability in the workplace or in the home or with the family, just about everywhere. Whenever trouble is brewing, maybe due to decision or when new manager take over, we'll see all kind of interesting behavior in a group. Reds who never listen to whole messages, just trust up to do what they believe needs to be done. Unless of course they are busy yelling at the management because they don't agree with the decision. Always start wild discussion and inform absolutely everyone about their take on what happened. Instead of working, they will debate the news until it's time to leave the office. Blues will sit at the desks and begin the bureaucratic paperwork, formulating 500,000 questions that no one knows the answer to yet. Greens they just murmur. If the management has ever seriously sabotaging their sense of security, they will trundle on without complaining. There's no point in making a lot of fuss and bother about it. Might as well keep doing what you were before. This in fact makes things much easier. We'll get to how we help Greens to change direction, but they are great at keeping calm and carrying on. You'll always know how a green will respond to some question because he doesn't change his opinion very often. A few years ago, I coached Gregor. He had been a CEO for several years, and his management team consisted solely of green middle managers. He used to enjoy playing a little game when launching new ideas. He wrote little notes with the answer he thought he would get from each person. No from Anna, yes from Stefan, maybe from Bortil. Right, every time Gregor knew them very well and knew how they would react to his proposal. This would not have been the case with Allo. They don't even know how they are going to respond when opportunities arise. Exciting sure but existing for those around them, but with Greens as stated however, you don't need to worry. Who me, I am not important, forget that you even saw me. For every green, the group will always come first. Team before self. Remember that this is the fundamental truth for a green, and it is not be challenged too strongly. The working group, the team, the club, and the family, all these different groups are important for green. He often disregards his own needs if the group creates what it needs. You may think that group consists of people, and if he is individually satisfied, the group as a whole will be content. This might happen, but then the focus will be individual rather than collective. The way a green sees, if the group feels good, every individual also feels good. Here's the green thoughtfulness become apparent. He has infinite regard for those around him. This is partly the reason why it's difficult to get a straight answer from a green. He's always trying to satisfy everyone else. Let me tell you a rather striking story. One Sunday a few years ago, a colleague whom I didn't know that well called me. I had only been working with Christopher for a few months, but I hadn't really figured out the guy out yet. So when he called me one Sunday morning, I was surprised. I saw who it was, but I had no idea what he wanted from me. He greeted me pleasantly and asked what I was doing. I had just bought a new house at the time and was busy renovating. Christopher asked what was on the agenda this particular Sunday, and I remember that I said I was worried about the boiler. It was early winter, the temperature was just below freezing, and one of the circulation pumps didn't really work as it should. Because colder weather was definitely on the way, I wondered if the pump could cope with a major cold snap. Being a green, Christopher asked a number of questions and gave me a lot of good advice. He once had a similar boiler, and beside he knew a plumber whom he might be able to ask to come by and have a look. If I was interested, of course, Christopher and I chatted for a while, and I became increasingly puzzled about why he had actually called me. He asked me where I lived. I gave him the address, and he promised to write it down and give it to his plumber friend. Then, as a kind of by the way, he asked me if I hadn't plans to go into town that day. I live about 25 miles from the office and hadn't intended to go to work that Sunday. I explained this to Christopher. We chatted a little while longer, and in the end I finally asked him straight out what he really wanted. Then he revealed that he was standing outside the office in his t-shirt because he had accidentally locked himself out when he had popped out to face some lunch. I looked at the thermometer, 30 degrees with light snow. We've been talking about 15 minutes. I go into the car and saved him from freezing to the bone. Everyone else is more important. A green never asks for anything. I know exactly what you mean. They say greens are introverts, that is, they are active in their inner world. This means that they don't talk just for the sake of talking. When you are quieter than those around you, it's necessary that you listen, and greens will listen. They are interested in you and your ideas. Unlike reds who only listen when there is something to be gained from, or allos who usually don't listen at all. Greens here, when what you are actually saying, they have a genuine ear for women problems. They might not offer any solution, but they understand what you have told them. Don't assume that means they agree with you, but they are good listeners. So far, you have probably tried to puzzle all the pieces together. Do the different color fit in? What kind of job will be best for each of them? They are good questions, even if there are no simple answer. One of the questions that often arise when I work with these issues in different organizations is that reds and yellow in particular must be good at retail and selling. This is true for sure, but greens are often overlooked. We always teach salespeople to talk less and listen more. Sometimes greens already do quite naturally. Helena Massa said that I was a few years ago. She was green and very gentle in her voice. Most people didn't understand how she survived in that daunting industry. But I have a theory. She once told me about a time when she met a top chief executive everyone had tremendous respect for. No one in the entire company had managed to sell anything to him. But after a little coaching from me, Helena was determined to have a go. So she arranged a meeting. They ran into each other in the parking lot at a restaurant where they were to meet for lunch. The Eastern executive cruised in the lot in the vintage car from the late 60s. Beautiful, shiny, and obviously very special. Elena said the only thing she will think of, wow. Do you like cars? asked the executive before they even had greeted each other. Helena nodded. Then he told her about the car, how much he had spent to store hit the paint work and alloy the engine. He showed her what it looked like under the hood. Helena nodded and more approval and hoped he would not ask for any question. Since she could not tell the difference between a Ford and Chevrolet, but she didn't interrupt. She just listened. After that, it was easy. They sat down and he asked to see the sales agreement. How did she do it? By doing nothing at all except for one thing, listening. She signed before the food was even soft. Conclusion of green behavior. Okay, do we have any green city family? Highly likely. Mr. Rogers, Gandhi, Michelle Obama, and Jimmy Carter are some well-known people with elements of green. And yes, just a guy who knew how to help other people. Okay, kind of. So the chapter 6 of this book is simply on the green behavior, and the topic that follows, uh, the title is why change is so difficult and how to get around it. So the author typically says that green are the most diplomatic people that you will ever meet. They are really good listeners, so that automatically helps them be a really good friend, and they are very helping to other, and they just can see the problem. They just can't put themselves ahead of anyone, and they are really diplomatic and less speaking guys.